A psychopath hunting Jaime Lannister in the woods with a wildly impractical ancient weapon. Where's Tyrion and Cersei when you need them? The Silencing is brought to us by director Robin Pront and stars Nikolai Coster-Waldau of Game of Thrones fame as Rayburn Swanson, a man who is still searching for his daughter who went missing 5 years ago when she was 14. When a mysterious masked man starts to hunt and subsequently murder young girls in the area, Swanson gets on the case and hopes to find out some clues to what may have happened to his daughter 5 years ago. And from here we have a twisty-turny serial killer mystery where anyone is a suspect. I went into this movie not knowing what to expect. The trailer looked interesting and I knew it had some talented performers in it. But really, you see trailers for movies like this all the time and you never really know what you're gonna get. Unfortunately, more times than not, what we get is let down. Thankfully, that is not the case with The Silencing. This movie surprised me. It kept me on my toes and kept me thinking all the way to the end, and I had a really good time with it. The story keeps you guessing and it does a really good job of leading you in a direction and then totally switching it up. You're thinking the whole time, who could it be? Oh, I bet it's this person. No, I bet it's them. Or no, the movie wants me to think it's them, so it's probably this one over here or somebody else. But you're never 100% sure. And at times the movie will point you in a direction and make you think, I've seen movies before. They want me to think it's that one, but it's not gonna be. The movie goes down that path and you're sitting there patting yourself on the back saying, haha, I was right. But then it immediately switches it up on you again. However, none of these twists and turns ever seemed contrived or cheap. It all fit within the world that they had built within this movie. The movie's also got a great pace. It's exciting when it needs to be, and it also slows down when it needs some more character development. But it never slows down too much. It's always moving forward at a fairly brisk clip. This is not a particularly long movie at 93 minutes. It was just right for the story they wanted to tell, and it never felt like it outstayed its welcome. Now, while the story is interesting and definitely kept my attention all the way to the end, it admittedly isn't anything monumentally new. But the subversion of expectation and its execution is very tight and well done. The movie does a pretty good job of staying away from cliches that we get with these types of films. And its ending, while yeah, a little convenient, was still very satisfying. We have a great cast of flawed yet relatable characters that don't always make the right decision, but are very understandable and you still sympathize with them regardless. Coster-Waldau is great as Rayburn Swanson. You totally get where this guy's coming from. He's a bitter, mean, pissed off individual, but you get why he's that way. And you can see right under the surface there is still a good man here. He just has so much fucked up bad shit that's happened to him in life that it's hard for that good part of him to bleed through. Annabelle Francis Wallace as the sheriff plays the other central character in the movie. Once again, she's another very flawed character with her own demons. And we see her deal with these throughout the film. And while we don't always agree with her actions, we can understand and sympathize with where she's coming from. Everybody else here does a great job as well. There's no bad performances here. And the movie does a really good job of giving all the characters just the right amount of development so that you still care about them and understand where these people are coming from. The only minor issues I really had with the movie did all concern the villain. Not really the villain themselves, but things surrounding the villain. Nothing major, just some little things I thought were a bit much. Like one of the arrowheads that they find that the villain used to hunt one of the girls. On the end of it, it has an emblem or something in it with initials. Now I'm not gonna run it here, but where those initials actually come into play just seemed a little bit too convenient. I understand why the movie says that they're there, but it doesn't really seem very practical that a serial killer would leave that much of a telling calling card. It was a little bit too much. Also, while I did think the villain was very effective because he could be anyone, anywhere, when we do finally get closure on that whole thing, it also seemed a little bit convenient that we get all of our answers all at once. Now I know it's the end of the movie and we want this stuff so that we can feel satisfied. And the amount of questions answered versus questions unanswered in the end of a movie is always a hard balance to strike. But I would have been okay with some of the stuff being left unanswered. I mean, we get to the end and they pretty much answer every single question that we would have ever had in just a very small short amount of time. And while yeah, that is satisfying that I get all these answers, it doesn't seem very realistic within the world that they created. Once again, small grievances. In no no way did these ruin the film or anything. They were just some little things that stuck out to me while I was watching it, but no way did they really tarnish the experience. I had a really good time with the silencing. I enjoyed it a whole lot more than I expected I would when going into it. It's got an interesting story, while at its core not all that original, was still very well executed. Had a great cast of characters played by some great performers, and it did what a mystery is supposed to do and kept me guessing all the way to the end. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but it was absolutely a great time and totally worth a rent.
All he wanted was this.
I have to return some videotape.
This was a very solidly made, entertaining film that if you give it a chance one night, I think you'll have a really good time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of The Silencing. If you enjoyed, want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Echo Falls. The weapon that the murderer uses in this movie is like this really ancient old weapon that throws arrows called an atlatl. And while it's pretty cool to look at and the whole idea behind it is pretty neat, it seems wildly impractical for this application. You're a serial killer that's hunting people in the fucking woods. Considering all your options that you have nowadays, why would you pick this ancient weapon? And on top of that, why would that be the only weapon you would have on you? If you're gonna go the route of this out there crazy extravagant weapon, at least have a sidearm or something as a contingency plan. I can name at least one part in this movie that would have made our villain's life a whole lot easier and cleared up a lot of this shit if he had just had a sidearm with it. But, I mean, we're dealing with a fucking psychopath who runs around and hunts human beings in the woods with some ancient arrow-throwing sticks, so maybe not the most rational person around.